I apologize, it closed. I will put it up.
So, yeah, no problem. We'll blame Jones.
Do I?
We'll blame Jones for that. His picture popped up and everybody else's,
The agenda went
all
away.
the good stuff went away.
Stop working.
I heard that.
He's awake.
Damn that mute button.
Just Mike. Guaranteed.
That's a problem. It's under governing mark,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got it.
All right, and is that church getting shared for the online people?
So I'm working.
Oh, okay.
Well said.
I know.
Share mark on the right. Yeah, if you click on the windows, I think, click on the windows up top, it'll give you a list. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect. All
Perfect.
right. Oh,
Not quite. I could see a problem.
Just pin that right there. It's perfect.
That better?
You're hired.
All right, I think, well, I guess I want to verify first, Brian Bishop, can you hear us?
Yep, loud and clear.
Perfect. And we got the recording started already. Staff, are we good to get rolling? Bill?
yeah, I would say for roll call, we'll do an introduction like we did at the steering committee.
That's fine.
Make it easy. That, other than that, yes, good to go.
All right. All right. Well, welcome everybody. We'll call the April 7th meeting of the Building Membership Council Governing Committee to order. Welcome, everybody. You know, for some of you that were in the other room, good to see you again. If you're at the steering committee meeting, if you slept in a little bit, then welcome to the morning. So we'll call the meeting to order. What we will do is we'll go around the room, around the governing committee table here and do a quick introduction. And we'll do that in place of, or as a way to do the roll call. So, Rachel, you want to get started on that corner?
Sure. I'm Rachel Parrish. I am also doing all of the work for this one.
You're so good at it.
I know. This is my job now. I get paid well. What can I say? But yeah, y'all see me floating around. So I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
Good morning, folks. Bill Nash, and I am not going to be doing work for this committee any longer after today.
Thank
No, so I am the staff liaison, as you all know, for the Building Membership Council. And since we've established the steering committee, I will be the staff liaison there, have been since it started. Mark Roberts, my colleague in GR, will be your staff liaison going forward. And of course, I will plan on still attending all your meetings and assisting in any capacity that I can. For those that really don't know me, I'm from the state of Rhode Island, former code official for 21 years there. And glad to be with you all and ICC for a bunch of time. So all good, folks. Thank you.
Paul Demers, I'm the state building official in Maine, great state of Maine, full of snow right now still. I can attest that Mr. Nash is a valuable asset as our GR rep in Region 6. And we enjoy Billy up there. So, thank you.
I'm Eric Miller, state of Utah. I'm the building official. Glad to be here.
Allison Cook, Arrington.
Andy Higgins, City of Seattle, and current president of the Washington Association.
I'm Ed Lisinski with the American Wood Council and the chair of the BMC.
Mark Matheny, director at the city of Asheville and vice chair of BMC.
Ronnie, I'm sorry. Well, these are guests, and they've already sat down here, and I told them they just stay right there. Go ahead and introduce yourself. You're not on the DC, that's all right.
Terry Kozowski, Clark County Building Department, Plans Exam Manager. Diane Carter, Building and Visual Events County Building.
Ron Hampton, board liaison, for the state of Kentucky.
Bob Allen, building official, Orange County, Florida. Welcome. And also, I guess now an ambassador for Florida.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mark Roberts with the Government Relations Department with ICC. Really happy to be the new staff liaison that's coming in. Looking forward to working with them.
And Brian, do you want to introduce yourself too?
Brian Bishop, City of Des Moines, Iowa, building official. Sorry I couldn't be there in person today, but just things didn't quite work out.
We're glad you could join us virtually. Looking on the line, I don't see any other our people there, so. And then we do have some directors here as well. Any ICC directors want to introduce themselves?
No, good morning. What's up, Roy? Well, I'm here on the board of directors, also from the great city of Austin, Texas. Get the best typist.
Not cool, dude. Not cool. Don't bring that here. Don't bring that here.
Here, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Strike that.
Saw Director Boso, but now it looks like he might have lost his connection. He was on the plane, so.
Airplane mode.
Yeah, I think he said he had an early flight getting out of here, so.
He's always on airplane mode.
You know, any other ICC staff here? I don't believe so, right? No, Mark. You guys don't see anybody else? All right.
Not that right here, Mr. Chairman.
No.
Just so I can go around there and do
Oh, yeah, I suppose we could. Yeah, you want to start over here and we can go around and introduce who's all here?
Good morning, Mike Vysanko, City of Rochester Hills, Michigan. First time attending this event. I saw that on the agenda and I'm like, let's see what it's all about.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
I'm Ann Russo. I'm the Executive Director for the Building Officials Association of Florida. So welcome to Florida, everyone. I'm just observing. Thank you.
The great state of Florida.
Great state of Florida.
Yeah, no, Virginia. Back home, I'm a principal consultant with Brown Intertech, and also I'm the current chair of the PDC education.
Johnny Gates, Moreland Engineering. Just a quick fun fact, I was on this committee when Ron was on this committee for director, so appreciate the work, and I'm also on the PDC. Thanks.
Tom Wilcox, building and code official, City of Austin, Texas.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Welcome. And yeah, glad to see some new faces here as well. And we'll hit up all the new people to be volunteers in some of our subcommittees. So thanks for being here. Doors are locked now, so you can't get out. Yeah, and actually the online people, do you guys want to say hello as well? Dave Vile what's it? Oh, yep. Yeah, we'll go through everybody online. Dave Vile, you want to say hi? You can unmute.
Sure, yes. Hi, everyone. Dave Bile from the city of Lenexa, senior plans analysis there. And I volunteered on a couple of the subcommittees here and excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, is it Strakowski? Just kind of introduce yourself.
You insulted him so much, he's not willing to talk.
Mark can hear, well. Let say you just unmuted. But we'll move on. Mr. Jones, you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry I couldn't be down there in Orlando joining all the fun, but I certainly didn't want to miss out on the meeting. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir. Dave, just so you know, you turned your camera on, Bio.
In your pocket.
Yeah, yeah. Director Boso, did you want to introduce yourself? Mike, I saw you unmuted, but we'll recognize you in spirit. There you go.
Truly on point.
Oh,
There you go. All right, we got a thumbs up from him, so we have proof of life. That's good.
he appears to be in a small room when they're
Yeah.
playing.
Definitely not in first class.
All right. Leo, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Leo Hogan. I'm with the South Suburban Building Officials in Illinois. We know each other through some training that he's provided for us. So, thank you.
All right, thanks for being here. All right, thanks, everybody. We will move on the agenda here to number 2. Announcements, changes, adjustments to the agenda. Anybody have anything for that? Seeing none. We already did roll call and basically GC members time. Next up, number 4, approval of the meeting minutes from March 13th. As Bill will, I'm sure, point out, and Mark will in the future as well. If you get a digital copy of the agenda, you'll see everything on there that's underlined as our paper links and everything throughout, but we always do put the meeting minutes on the YouTube channel. And so if you do miss a meeting, you can always go back and watch those. And that's always posted on the Building Membership Council website as well. But any other comments on? And thanks to Rachel, of course, as well for putting those together. They are time stamped and things like that. So.
Oh, well, then I'm doing the motion to pass them.
As she's typing.
There's a motion second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Who was the second? Missed it.
Paul,
Oh, thank you.
doesn't matter, but anybody. Nobody reads them.
Fall or anything.
Timestamp this for me, because I'm gonna use that.
He's not wrong. It's just hurtful.
All right, next up, we will move on to non-BMC Governing Committee members' time and guest time. So this is an opportunity, we do have some new people here. This is your opportunity. The Building Membership Council, I guess, brief introduction on us, we're sort of a council that comes together, obviously the 15-member governing committee here, but we have an 800-member person membership altogether out there. And we deal with any issues with the built environment, basically. Couple subcommittees on raise the profile of the building official, deal a lot with building safety month as well. And then also another subcommittee on best practices and innovation. So any current trends, any current issues that building officials, fire officials, plans examiners, architects, anybody out there that is running into, we're sort of the group that will address those and sort of be the conduit from the membership to the board of directors. So with that, we kind of open this up every meeting to our guests that are out there. If you're running into anything out in the field, a lot of times somebody will bring up, finding the next generation of building officials or education type events. But if anybody's seeing anything out there that they want to kind of bring up to us for us to discuss in a future meeting or at a subcommittee meeting, this is sort of your opportunity to tell us what issues you're running into. So if anybody has anything, we'll open up the floor to our guests to bring up anything. All right, seeing none, we will close our membership time then. All right, moving on the agenda to chairman report. I'm actually going to move the vice chairman report up a spot here to A. Should have noted that on adjustments to the agenda, but I didn't, but whatever. And I'll do my chairman report after I turn this over to the vice chair, Mr. Matheny.
Awesome, thank you. Good morning, all. Good to have everybody here. Good to see everybody in person, always. I'm gonna take a little more time than I normally do, and I apologize in advance for that. I'm gonna go through a couple of items. I've written down some bullet points, and I'll summarize all that when I'm done. Just observations, advice, general rambling. You always hear me say this, everybody engage. Right? If you're on this council and you're not doing something, find out what that is and find something that you should do.
Ed,
Right? We have some, a lot of opportunities. We're gonna talk through that a little bit in more detail today. But, you know, if you're representing here and you're on the GC, get engaged in something, right? And so we have people that are and they are not. So do that. Make that a commitment to do that. You know, I always like to this year for the most part, I like to hit on the keywords of accomplishable and deliverable. And we're working toward that and kind of make, you know, that should be a recognition always. And we always need to keep that on the forefront. We need to look inside a little bit better to ourselves, right? And Ed, you just did a good summary. I think that summary needs to be more visual and you know, and I'm sure within your chapters, within your own organizations, you have, you know, maybe a new membership startup guide, maybe a new pamphlet or brochure about what we do and what we would expect us to do and how we can be strong from day one as you come in, like engage into some work. So let's figure out what that looks like and let's kind of look inside and make sure that we cover and we support people that are here that are doing all this good work. I'm not sure exactly how to put this one. We're going to talk a little bit about adjustments of what our subcommittees and everything else looks like. I just want to say that best practices is a strong one, and sorry. I got to stand up. Y'all don't mind. I have a hard time talking when I'm sitting. You know, the idea behind best practices is not reinventing the wheel, right? That we should have large and small jurisdictions be able to know what's already out there, and we should have access to that. And I'm not saying that we're currently doing it right. Honestly, we're not. I think we need to get better and stronger at it. And but I think that always needs to be, you know, a part of our you know, of our focus is that we're able to reach across the nation, literally across the world, and point people to what's already been done, what's already doing well. Why, you know, just don't make stuff up every single time. And all of us have probably done that as we got into the positions that we're in, is I wonder how somebody else is doing that. Well, I don't know. I'm just going to make it up and see if it works. We've all done that at some point. I know we have. But, you know, we should always keep that on the front charge that we should be able to know where other groups have done well and be able to point people there. So let's keep that in mind when we talk about what we're going to talk about here as far as the subcommittees go. I think we need to be okay. We need to be open about the best allocation of resources within our group. We might be doing that, we might not. And I think if we're not, I think we need to be better at being aware of that and making those modifications, right? You do that within your own department. You do that as you know, as you were, you know, if you were whatever you did prior to doing this, you know, you found ways to do that. So you know, let's be aware of that. That's how you become a strong, successful group, committee, organization, company, department is having that awareness. And I think we're going to do better or longer if we can make that an important part. I think another piece that we might be missing and I think we can tie into ICC on this, is some sort of mentoring, whether that's a mentoring directory or whatever. And I say we're gonna tie into ICC with this because they're doing a mentoring thing, right? So there's a bigger piece here. And I think that's a good connection for us. I don't know, honestly, I don't even know where it is on ICC because it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. They've been doing mentoring for a long time, but I think there's an evolution of what that looks like, right? I think we're rebuilding, ICC's rebuilding what that mentorship program looks like. And I think there's an opportunity for us to be that. I mean, we've gotten to where we are, and there's people that are coming through. And I think we always need to be able to have that conversation. You know, I always, for a long time, struggled with what mentoring actually means. And I thought there was some like formal, structural, you know, very specific way of doing that. And over the last probably 3 years as a working mentor for the Three Rangers Foundation, I found that that's not really true. Mentoring a lot of times is just a phone call, right? And it's just talking about, you know, what decisions should I make, or what, and I'll tell you, one of the big things with the Three Rangers Foundation is this is Rangers transitioning from Army Rangers into civilian life. You know, one of the easiest questions is, what did you do wrong? And that's like, that could be like a 2-hour conversation. So sometimes that's actually where that stuff comes from. And so I think mentoring is a good avenue. And I think there's an opportunity to kind of narrow in what the ICC program on that is, and work with that. I also think there's probably a good opportunity for us to develop some sort of work plan for our BMC, right? We have a BMC work plan. I do this at work. Our department has a work plan, so we know where we're going each year, right? Fiscal year to fiscal year, we build a work plan, and our leadership moves toward that, right? And that way, you know, people below, you know, within the inspection departments, within the permitting departments, within the plan review departments, they all are part of that work plan, all trying to build what that turns into. And, you know, and that work plan could be, you heard that Monday format, which is a pretty cool format, honestly. And it could be a spreadsheet, it could be whatever. But I think that's a pretty good thing. And I'm gonna shut up here in just a minute. But I do want to let everybody know that I am going to have to step back from what I'm doing. I'm not going to, and I'm not really going away. I'm going to be here for the rest of the year. But this director position has taken on a lot of other responsibility and duties. And I can't get us to where I'd like to move us, because I can't commit that much time. And it's it's a hard decision, I'm telling you. And being here last night and being here this morning with the steering committee and being here with this group it rips my damn heart out, and it makes it even harder just because this is so, I'm gonna say it's so much fun because it is so much fun. You know, spending all these years working very closely with people, learning about what you do, how you do, what you do well, what you've done wrong, all of that is just energizing. It's just fantastic. I just love it. But I do want to let you know that I am gonna step away from this responsibility. I am going to still participate. I'll be here, like I said, I promised everybody we're going to go through this year. I'm not going to, get out of that. I will, even in years to come, be part of the, the meetings, virtual meetings. I'll still participate in Fire Membership Council's meeting. The ICC performance code. I just love that concept, and so I'm like an interested party in 3 of those subcommittees because I couldn't just take one. I don't know how we get so damn busy all the time, right? So there's still a lot, and ICC is still strong. The councils and all the good work that we do is very deserving and very strong. I can't get away from that, and I don't want to get away from that. But the reality of it is, for the foreseeable future, I can't take on a lot of things that I'd really like to do. So I thank you all. That's all.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
And yeah, thanks for that, and thanks for for all your years here with us, and we're certainly going to miss you at the end of this year. You're still sticking on until the end of the year, so that's fantastic. And
Mr. Chair, if I could,
yeah,
it's appropriate that. It's appropriate that.
the cylinder of excellence.
Beside with our friend Mark.
There you go. Go.
More of this.
For the newbies here, the cylinder of excellence was borrowed from a Brazilian steakhouse. Set it up in my pocket as we walked out the door. I don't know how, but we kept kept getting Bill was just loaded up on meat, and they have those, for if you want more meat or not. Somehow that kept getting turned back over to the green side up, and they kept coming by, slicing more meat for him, and he was hurting the next morning. So yeah, thanks, Mark, for all that. Thanks for all your time here and everything. I think, did you and I come on together, or were you I think so, right? Yeah. I think you and Amrinder were on that same kind of class there. So yeah, so the four of us were all coming into this at the same time. So yeah, we're gonna miss you. And all your guidance, all your leadership and everything. So with that though, I'm actually gonna be terming off at the end of the year as well. So obviously you got your chair and your vice chair both gonna be stepping off this year. So it's gonna create sort of that vacuum at the top, that void. So just something to kind of keep in mind as we progress through the year here. And this goes for kind of everybody in the audience as well. I started off just before I got onto the governing committee, I started off as just working out on, I think, 3 of the subcommittees here, back when we had like 4 or 5 subcommittees. So you kind of progress from, a subcommittee member to, maybe a leadership role on one of the subcommittees, or a liaison position as well. And then you move up to, like a chair of one of those subcommittees, and you move up to, potentially, now we have that secretary position, and then vice chair and chair. So there's sort of that natural progression, that natural succession plan throughout. So, I know we're gonna be looking to, the secretaries and the co-chairs of some of those subcommittees to start to think about stepping up and taking over the chair and vice chair positions for next year. So kind of keep that in mind, I guess, as we sort of go through the year. If anybody is interested in a chair, vice chair, secretary, co-chair of a subcommittee type position, and you're worried about time commitment, things like that, feel free to reach out to me at any time, or Mark or anybody, and we can certainly walk you through what that means, and the time commitment and all that.
Maybe you could explain the compensation package.
Yeah.
Almost every year.
I love that you said chair, co-chair, and secretary. You just volunteered my own position, so thank you.
Right.
Voted out unanimously.
We tried you for a year.
Keep coming back.
I don't know, I just think we might discuss a lifetime appointment to secretary.
I can tear them out. I know I can. You don't volunteer.
Second.
All right, continuing on with the chairman report, though, I do want to thank Bill. This will be his last official meeting as our kind of with us here, although I'm sure he'll still be sticking around anyway, and still be chairing or staff liaison to the steering committee. And then obviously welcome Mark, which I've welcomed him a couple times now, but his first in-person meeting, I guess, being back here and really taking over the reins moving forward here. So.
And I was on BMC.
Back when Mark was
10 years ago.
was here.
When Von Wicker and then Mark was the
Yep.
liaison.
Right.
So
Yep.
he's just returning.
He's just coming back. Yep, exactly.
Coming home.
Yep. And I think when I was working on subcommittees, I think Mark was
Yeah.
in there as well. And so,
So it will be in good hands
yep, absolutely.
since Bill left us.
Much better than we had the last.
I'm nicer than Bill too.
Definitely nice.
So, yeah, so, again, Mark already brought up volunteers. I won't touch on that, although if you were in the steering committee meeting earlier, we got a whole bunch more, volunteer opportunities coming up that we'll talk about throughout the meeting here today. I mentioned this last meeting, as well, but, I think we do want to start to think about, some other liaisonships. There are other organizations, other groups. We'll put that off for today, but, start to think about, if there are other groups that we should be, reaching out to and sort of having that liaison relationship besides the membership councils, and I brought up, Permit Tech Nation, Wicked, a few of these other organizations, even, AIA or some of these other, groups like that. So, maybe we start to, have somebody attend those meetings and kind of share what they're working on, and again, see if there's ways to collaborate with some of those other groups. I was gonna bring up today, but then, like I said, we got assigned a few more tasks in the steering committee, meeting earlier today, so we'll focus on those for now, and we'll revisit that later on. And then just a shout out, for anybody that's sticking around here for the code hearings, it's really one of the best educations you can get out there. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here with the group that we have, but keep that in mind. ICC has, the Scott Code of Honor scholarships and things like that. If you want to get some of your staff out to the code hearings, either here or at Long Beach later on this year, it really is great education. You really learn the ins and outs of the code and the reasons why things are in the code. So if anybody here can stick around a few extra days, listen in on some of those. They start at 2:00 this afternoon. You'll get all the WUI stuff, all the, starting us off. So, I guess, Eric's probably the closest to, well, you probably, obviously, Washington as well. You get to field all the fun WUI stuff. So, if you're sticking around, there's that. And then I think swimming pool and spa is going to be in room 2, to start this afternoon. So something for everybody. With that, oh, sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I've heard, I heard some, that's all the telephone. I'll get yours once, you're just twice a year now.
Yeah.
And why don't they do it?
Sure. You're ready, Director Hampton?
So, I'm not sure.
So what was the question? I couldn't
Yeah,
hear
that's how I
just the end of the question.
Yeah, so the Code of Honor scholarships that I mentioned before, that's just for public comment hearings, which used to be, you could go through Group A, your committee action hearings, then you go to public comment. So you do them, twice in a cycle. Now it's moving to the 3rd year only in one public comment period. So I think the question more is just, is there a way, since you're only giving out half the scholarships, is there a way to open that up to maybe some of the committee action hearings and things like that?
That's a good question for a board member, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can find one there.
Yep. No, it's
Anyway, it is good. It is a good question, and we'll try and remember to bring it.
The whole change to the cycle, the new development cycle is, was,
take some adjustments.
it will, and that's maybe an obvious thing that we missed, the Code of Honor stuff, but the board and the staff looked at it on the best way to effectively, efficiently develop these codes on the 3-year cycle. So, but it's something slipped through the cracks, and that's a good one. That's a good one.
Allison?
So I guess for clarification, if we did, because I only got to go to my first hearings of Code of Honor, and that was their same experience. Is that a budget issue where the board in December would need to lay that out? How is that sort of best?
It would need to be included in the budget. It's not wrong for her. plenty right now. So I'm not sure why we don't expand these. I mean, because maybe we'd all go for free. But you know, if we can't, we just can't hardly do that. So that's something that we may need.
So Mark, would it be possible for us to put a page in your meeting at the ABM to remind us to ask for that to go on the agenda for December meeting? Would you think we need to do that earlier?
Like, we're talking about the budget all year long. So the sooner you get it in there, the more time we have to talk about it. And any opportunities to expand scholarships for fellowship, we're all like,
Awesome.
the majority of us.
People on the right.
Yes.
Yeah. So Director Hampton, is that like appropriate to ask the board to have that as an agenda item? Because I know we've asked a couple.
Yeah, let's throw that around the city.
Yeah, we can talk offline
Yes.
to see the
When we're not.
best way to, best way to get that, information out to the boards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
If I can take a second, and if we can stop the recording while I say something nice. Thank you, Ed and Mark, for leading us so well past few years. I really appreciate you guys. I know it's hard stepping down. But y'all have been great. You can start recording again. I'm not gonna say anything.
There's still be the ABM.
There is only one cylinder of excellence though. So you're gonna have to share.
Mark, let's take on that.
Bill wrote it for me. I didn't know how to say it nicely.
Yeah, Mark can keep the cylinder of excellence. I'll take the envelope of cash of excellence. Yeah. All right, we move on to the ICC Board of Director Liaison Report.
All righty, well, it's good to see everybody in person. We'll see each other again in Long Beach. I hope everybody gets to make it. I hope the ones that couldn't make it to this meeting, make it to that one. Maybe being on that coast will help some of them. Our goal is 3,000 people. And we've set a big goal here. Dominic says he wants to see 3,000 for our 30th anniversary. And so we've been to Long Beach before. Elizabeth was a shadow in Long Beach the last time. So let's look at that program and where she's at today. Okay, so there's a path, like we were talking about the toolkit path for new employees. There's also a path for the general membership. You know, you come to these things, you go to membership council, you participate, get involved in a work group, perhaps you move up to chair. Johnny and I have both, I think we were both on race profile several years ago. And, you know, I went to chair of that and then on to the governing committee and been on the board since 18. That's not everybody's path, but there's a path to serve. And if you want to lead, you have to serve. We've, you and the ditto Bill's comments there, Rachel's, you know, Mark and Ed, you all done a great job here, but that's okay. We can't have the same people on here forever. We have to move on. We have to bring in new, fresh, young ideas, and people that are willing to serve. And we don't want to, a lot of times what happens is we set these goals, and we beat these goals to death for 3 years, and somebody moves on, somebody new comes in, we just forget about them goals. As Elizabeth has said in her race profile meetings, let's pick 2, 1 maybe, and let's get that goal done. And then the next year we'll move on to something else. Okay, race the profile is never ending. Like I said, I was on it, and we'll never stop that. We have to keep on moving. Building Safety Month's coming up. Kentucky's got 7 proclamations listed so far. I know for sure because I submitted those. You all need to get your proclamations secured, get them sent in. Somebody's got to get close to us sooner or later. You know, we've set a big goal in Kentucky this year. I'm not sure if we can do it or not, 120. I think last year we had 112. Nobody even close to us. So y'all need to kick it up a little bit. School activities, we've already got some school visits scheduled. We've got some other activities going on. And you're talking about the next generation, made me think. So I'll be at PBOA's conference in Gatlinburg next week with Mr. Jones. And there's a young man in Sevier County that I have learned about. He is 14 years old. He's homeschooled. He's already got enough credits to graduate high school at 14. But his mom says, I can't let him graduate. He's only 14. So, but I learned last fall that he wants to be a building inspector at 14. Very bright young man. So his family actually came up to our town a couple of weeks ago. We all went out to dinner and I gave him a couple of books, existing building code and IRC fundamentals. And from what I understand from his family, he's already read those books cover to cover. And he's starting on his second version. Now, this is a bright young man, but I contacted Chuck Martin, TBOA president. We've got him a comp registration. So he's going to be there and my guest. And I want to introduce him as the newest TBOA member. I want to secure him a student membership. And yeah, he's only 14, but he's a bright young man. And so it's not too early to get started. How many 14-year-olds say I want to be a building inspector? You know, so when I just heard that, I mean, light bulbs are going off and I'm like, yeah, we got to get this kid. You know, I mean, this is, you know, code is not here, but this kid can be the next code of Morton. I mean, he's just wanting to get involved and very bright. Hopefully we'll see him prosper in the future.
You need to be chair of BMC.
It's hard to say. But anyway, well, he works a job and puts every penny, you know, saves every penny. And I'm like, what do you do if your money goes? Oh, I got CDs. You got what? He goes, yeah, I'm getting 5.25%. So this kid's on the ball. But anyway, we always got to be on the lookout for new talent. We have to recruit. We have to engage, as Mark said. We have to participate, educate, you know, and proclaim building safety. I've heard it. We do have the Sustainability Membership Council videos, if anybody's interested. You know, get involved in that. That's a good deal. But let's get out there for Building Safety Month because it's our time to shine. And I'm always glad to be here. Hopefully we'll stick around again next year, and next year will be my last year. So I got to thinking about this. I got one full term left. I'll make the effort. Throw back on here, so who knows?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but anyway, just glad to be here, glad to see everybody. Any questions?
Ron, you mentioned the shadow program. Clearly, the shadow program, many of those folks are now casting a shadow.
They are.
Doing a damn good job. But have you still got the shadow program in place?
It's called the leadership experience now.
Okay.
Everything changes, Paul. You know, so we went from the shadow program to the leadership experience. They actually broadened the requirements a little bit, so you don't have to be, you know, a youngster. You don't have new to the profession as much, and they took away some of those requirements. They have reduced the number, and it's not so much as a board shadow anymore. And Elizabeth and Allison can tell you. And yes,
Peter?
Peter,
I think
yeah,
Peter
Peter.
just-
You know, Peter just went through it last year, correct? Yes, okay. So before they followed us around, but we're in meetings, we're in executive session and you know, we're like, okay, meet you back here at 4:00. See you later. And so now they've got their own agenda and their own meetings that they go to. And maybe Peter can expand on that.
It was a very good experience in regards to our ICC projects. And the main one, you know, so for final investment, but on the ICC, that experience is. And when you went through that problem, I yesterday said, I need purpose like 50 people for the program and we have access to so I'm able to see what's happening in Probably, and want to see what's happening, questions about that. Trying to, on that, check the best practices and what's happening and we can bring to this and by changes. I can't find a problem or I'm taking it wrong. I reached out to, yes, okay, trying to take my CPO. And we have the advice, please give me some tips. And they didn't. So those connections are very powerful.
Valuable, yes. And so you're here, so see, we looked. And there's a lot of people like that. I know, Rachel's coworker, he made.
Jason,
Yeah, Jason made the comment, he was in here earlier, he made the comment, you know, in St. Louis, he said, that's all it took, I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, I love it, so, but we got to get out there and we got to encourage and don't be afraid of change, if you don't change, you die. That's all I can say, thank you. It's safety month, be here, be well.
The one year I did try to take on, Kentucky and I think I got, like 45 or so out of Wisconsin. I think we were still like the third highest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what you guys are able to put together there.
Well, 12 years.
You know,
This year.
Well, it's hard to compete bourbon to cheese, I'm just saying.
Oh, exactly, yeah, Jesus. Jesus, waves.
we're working on it, because I mean, honestly, we just need like 1/10 of the state,
That's right.
and then we'll hit.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, any questions for Ron?
I got a question. I understand that all the rooms are full for Long Beach. Is that the case?
There's 5 hotels. It's a different, system out there, and we went through this before in 2015. It's like there's some type of, organization that controls that for the convention center. They secure the hotels. I don't think they can be full this quick.
Well, this is what we understand, and we tried to check, and they said they're all full already for the.
It just went. Put it that.
Sure.
Oh, is
I
that,
had trouble getting a room, but then when I emailed ICC, she emailed me back and she took care of it.
So there you go.
So and the rooms must be tied up because ICC's group, whoever they've got, Hampton's reservations, they have it tied up.
Good to know.
But there's some type of organization there that it's like, you can't say, I want to stay at the Hyatt. You say, I need a room, and they say, we'll put you over to Marriott, you know, and they control all that. And it was the same way in 2015. Did you?
The only problem was like, if I can stay in the whole block, I might have to put it all I want.
Right.
Shorten the day, then I'm in that hotel, and I might have to have to go hotel another night.
Oh,
There's almost so much.
yeah, there's all kinds of.
You can have that, you can lock me out. So then one day, you're paying.
Yeah, when you got on, like you said, they were all full, so that's what they said.
When you went to the one by the beach, they didn't offer the rates.
Yeah.
For the weekend. You had to go there and then leave on the weekend and then go back during the weekend.
Wow. Right, that's surprising. I have to say that man, anything else. Sorry, don't change anything else.
Yeah. That's what they're shooting for.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else for Ron? All right. We'll move on to the staff liaison report. Mark, all right, Bill, if you still want to.
Yeah, last time for me to do it.
Let go, Bill. Let go.
There are some important updates that need to be discussed here real quick. You've all heard me promote this government relations update that Rick Hoffey does for us.
Yep.
Folks, it's a great resource. So please, if you didn't hear my spiel the past 4 or 5 years and earlier this morning in the other meeting, please get in touch with your government relations staff and make sure you get on the distribution list for this update. It really contains, it's overwhelming. I get it. You know, when I was a code official, it was the same way. There's a lot of information being thrown at you on a regular basis. And, you know, much of this is volunteer work. You all have jobs to do. So this compiles it in the important stuff in one good update. So please make sure you get onto that update. Some of the important stuff that's on there today as we speak, obviously Building Safety Month, that's huge, right? here we, last night was our building safety month reception, right? So, we're kicking it off early and a lot of good information. I tell my chapters, I'm responsible for the Northeast states, and I know our other liaisons talk to you all as well. For folks, we'll take proclamations from just about anyone. I mean, really, don't limit yourself. I challenge you to go to your jurisdictions and get that done. They're tremendous to get the jurisdictions. Legislators, whomever will proclaim Building Safety Month is a valid Building Safety Month proclamation. We do it here as a group. We do it with any particular groups. I think if you go down the list, try to find the most unique Building Safety Month proclamation. That's kind of a cool thing, and say, hey, we've got this particular entity to proclaim Building Safety Month. So please, I'd encourage you to do that and challenge you to do that as well. Stay on that.
If we do it for this group, can we not have it filed under Kentucky?
That's a good point.
No guarantees.
I can make sure that happens. The other couple of things that are on here, something that you've probably heard an awful lot about over the last couple of years and more recently now are the grant funding that's available for your jurisdiction. So, again, that's overwhelming as well. There's an awful lot of money out there, folks, for your jurisdictions, whether it's statewide or local jurisdictions. There's a lot of money out there. So ICC has created this matrix that it's a kind of a cool tool for you to go in and you just answer a few questions that it will bring you to what some potential opportunities for grants. A lot of the deadlines have passed for this year, but they will be renewed. So I come from the world of the CDBG funding that we used to fill out by hand, and we had a very I 10 years and never received a grant at all. The odds are very low. Today, obviously, in the electronic world, we do it in a digital format, and it's much more streamlined. So don't get overwhelmed. Don't you all probably in tune to it, but your membership and your constituents out there, your people, stakeholders, they need to be encouraged to get that money. There's a lot of money out there, and not necessarily just for ICC services. You can use it for an awful lot. There's a couple of people in this room that have done just that. So I'd encourage you to do that. The BRIC funding, right? We hear about the BRIC funding and the $2 million cutout for each state. Just some phenomenal money that's out there. You have to go ask for it though. They're not just going to hand it to you unless you ask for it.
So, Bill, quick question or comment on that is I'm hearing a lot of great information about how to apply for the money or get the money and that kind of thing, but I'm also hearing a lot of trepidation from jurisdictions who've gotten grants in the past, documentation that goes along with it after the fact.
The federal government,
but I'm just saying I'm hearing a lot of people not applying for it for that reason. It's not that they don't want to get the money, but it's they don't want the headache of dealing with all the stuff after the fact. So I don't know if there's more education we could do about how to simplify that or how to make that aspect.
A good point. You're very good.
Just a feedback.
So we have a woman named Stella Carr in our government relations, and she is our ace in the hole when it comes to finding the grants and assisting with you getting to the point of applying for the grants. And then beyond that, depending on the size of the money that grant that's out there, administering that is a challenge.
Yeah.
But it is done all electronically these days. It's not, and there is help available for much of that. It can be daunting for sure, but the payback is, that some of this money can be used for, just about anything but position. And actually, some of them actually come with the ability to bring on FTEs or positions for your jurisdiction. So, you've got to balance what your workload is to do that. But my point to you all is that it's there. You just have to ask for it. And if you want it, and we have an awful lot of success stories of our groups that get it. You'll see some videos over the next few months that come out. And there's one person particularly who will be on the videos, and a few others that will.
It might be helpful to hear from them then about what their experience.
That's exactly what the idea.
Because I think that people that just haven't done it or they've done it and had bad experiences in the past are afraid of having to take all.
I was one of them.
And I'd say to you very politely that having been involved in the CDBG and all of the garbage that went with that, this brick side of it has been a tenth of that. It really hasn't been as painful as, and we have an office in the state that really kind of manages that.
Right.
They take their cut, too, but it has been better than I thought it was going to
I think
be.
it's people need to hear that part of it. It's-
Great, and the other thing is, we all come to these conferences, most of the people that are in here are the people who will ask. But we all know people that just won't ask because they don't know, they're unfamiliar with it, so. We need to spread the word that it's not as daunting as you think it is, and we're ready to do that through some video that we'll see shortly. And of course, Stella is tremendous, and she will guide you. So without getting too deep into the grants, but I want to make an impression on you all that that's a valuable opportunity for you out there. Of course, Building Safety Month. I will not talk about the ICC appeals, but somebody in this room just may do that. But I'll leave that on the table. That's part of our update. Of course, we have our website that brings you on to all of that. The new standards out there for offsite construction, modular construction is standards that ICC has produced over the last couple of years that are tremendous resources to help jurisdictions with offsite modular construction stuff. Our TTT program, our technical training program has been expanded and modified, and the portal that's out there now is much more valuable, much more efficient and effective for you all. So please reach out to your GR reps on all of this. There's a lot of activity on all of that. And just I'll also mention, of course, we have our PMG resources. There's an awful lot of information. We talked about water. I call it Water World, but it's the water initiatives that are out there. A huge movement in that, and our PMG staff is well staffed to help your jurisdictions with PMG issues. And lastly, I'll just make a pitch for the ABM. Committee action hearings and other great events. Dominic's last ABM, as he's announced his retirement. And I'll point you to I think within this document, a lot of clickable links, like I'd like to do, can bring you to an area where you can view and also produce one of your own videos, a short snippet video about your experiences that you've had over the years. It's hard to believe it's been 30 years. I became a code official the same year that ICC was became an entity. We weren't necessarily practicing. It took about 10 years to get there. But 94, right, was the year. That's when 93 I became a code official. But a lot of good information out there, and so share your stories. It's fun to see some of the faces that started 30 years ago and are still here today. So I'd encourage you to do that.
And Billy was 14 years old.
So anyway, that's all I have, but I'm glad to answer questions, and please, again, continue to point to this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any questions for Bill or other?
And Mark, of course, right? Mark is.
No, you said you don't want to hear.
On that bricks funding, the city of Lexington used their grant that they got to get their IAS accreditation. That was Cash All Chevy's last hurrah as he walked out the door.
Yeah, another great program. I see more states doing that, getting their accreditations. That's gonna be used for them. Yeah.
And also Bill touched on it. The BRIC program has the Codes Plus portion of it, $2 million to every state. They've made it easier for code offices to get that money, because with the other BRIC funding, you're in competition with everybody else in the state. With the Codes Plus, you're not. Right. It's pretty significant. I mean, imagine what you can do with $2 million in training and whatever it is that you might want to do for your state.
And to that end, with your talking about adding staff, we have a current request for BRICS funding. Maine being a pretty rural state, we do have regional planning commissions around the state. They have gotten together, they listened to a pitch I threw at them, and they decided to apply for the BRICS grant to add 6 potential staffers, 6 code officials in the rural areas of the state. They're doing it as a 3-step process. So they're going to hire somebody. First year is going to come out of the BRICS money. The second year, half their salary out of the BRICS money. Third year down to a quarter, and then ultimately kind of passing it on so that it will help solve hopefully a problem. We've got a tremendous problem. It is. And if you can't sell the lady in charge of it says to me, I think this is one of those, if you build it, they will come. And I can't argue. She's grasped this and running with it, so.
I'm sorry, I apologize to interrupt. I'm actually with you. So again, I'll be saying, saying a little bit about breakdown, just note for you all, a subscription. This was quite hard. Most states and territories take application, starting on the final details. Is what where the money goes. Should be a lot of subscriptions. Many states take advantage of it.
That's all right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Bill or Mark? You mentioned the ICC appeals, and anybody want to comment on that? No, all right.
Next agenda item. Cool.
Thank you, Allison.
That was your chance, all right. We'll move on then to the Membership Council Steering Committee report, and we'll kind of tie in PNF together with our goals and the annual report with this as well, but I'll take a little bit, Allison.
Thanks. So the two big things, as you mentioned, the report. The other thing for us to consider is if we want to, anything that was in the charter, most of the stuff we worked together across all the membership councils to incorporate the big ticket items that if we wanted to change, we would ask the board because it would be a substantial change in process, policy, et cetera. But one of the things that didn't move over, and I think is important to us, is we had in a section of our charter requirements for being on the governing committee. And if we want to continue those, that's what Tim, the chair, is looking for us to turn in and then share with Ron, so Ron knows, hey, when we have folks come in and start talking, when we have folks apply for this and they say, like, I want to be BMC, it's easy to see, well, actually, this person didn't have. Now, I'm not saying there needs to be any changes. We can copy it right of the charter, but that is something to look at if you do want to change anything there. I know you all recently updated that right before I came on, so we probably don't do, thankfully, but that's the big ticket item there. It's moved over, and then, yeah, the report, we have some good work we've already done that I would suggest did start out as our goals this year to point to as achievement. So when we start talking about, because I see that's titled with the report, we talk about what our goals are. We may have talked about some of the things that some folks have already got done. That's all I really have. I didn't know if there's any more discussion or say we'll send that section of the charter.
Yeah, well, I think with that, yeah, so if for those of you that weren't in the meeting this morning, yeah, like Allison said, we have to kind of come up with our qualifications. Yeah, Tom and Mark and Robin, I think was on that subcommittee that, what's it?
And Kevin, because we brought him in to help.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep. And yeah, so we did just look at our charter. We kind of redid that about 2 years ago or so, so it should be pretty well set. But I guess what I'd like to do is maybe put together a little task group that can kind of take that. Again, it should be a pretty easy lift because we just looked at it about 2 years ago. Maybe if we get 2-3 people to volunteer for that and bring that back at our next meeting, we May 8th. And we can sort of bring that back to the full group and just make sure everybody's good with that. But if we have maybe 2-3 people, maybe who looked at it in the past. All right, so.
I'd like to propose so before that meeting happens, I want to come through the charter and pull out the pieces that are already addressed in CP9. So that you all have basically what's left to work with, and then y'all can go through one by one and decide what you want to keep on there.
Thank you.
So just let me know when y'all are gonna meet and I'll have that ready for y'all.
All right, so yeah, so we'll put Mark, Tom, and Allison together. The 3 of you are good. And Liz, right? Oh, and Elizabeth. Okay.
I know you did a lot of charter.
Yeah. Yeah, the 4 of you want to get together. Like I said, it shouldn't take too long. And thanks, Rachel, for kind of putting that together. Then, she can get you a document of what's not in CP9, and then, yeah, again, like I said, we just looked at it 2 years ago. It shouldn't be too difficult. But yeah, but if you guys could do that and then bring that back in our May 8th meeting, I think that would be a big help, and then we can take a look at that collectively, and that would give us plenty of time then to get it to steering committee. So,
And
Sorry,
go ahead.
Rachel, do you have access to that? Because I know some of those got pulled down and I got like the highlighted version. You have, I'll just.
That's a great idea.
Just a little bit more clarity. So the charters, for those that may not remember, used to be approved and written and approved by the board of directors. No longer. It's council policy 9, which a lot of provisions are left now to the council, so that to make their own
Give you the
government.
guidelines, it's up to you.
Correct. That's what I was getting to, is that just so focusing on the fact that you can govern yourselves as long as you stay in compliance with council policy 9. Whether you call it a charter or whatever, don't get hung up on, we have to get the board to approve this. That's not the case. As long as you comply with policy 9, you're gonna be good. But I think you're right. A lot of the good work is already done, and it's just gonna be a matter of pulling out what you got.
So that was gonna be my question. So then is it the intent that each of these councils could have separate ways of coming up with who they would elect to the governing
Yeah,
council?
so they did
They
it.
don't have to be the same, or they don't have to, but they should probably be somewhat similar.
So they're
Yeah, they could be.
So for example, I'll pick on ELMC, because I'm a building member as well. So ELMC changed theirs, like, we have a preference for this. We were getting some people who weren't falling within the strict age limits and things, so we had to go back to the board and have them ratify it. Now we can do that. Whereas fire service has some requirements with their MUs, they have some jurisdictional requirement, major jurisdictions has size of locality and all this stuff that has like nothing to do. So it's all different for everybody, and some of them may not choose to do that at all. Like, you don't have to do this, but because so many folks have that in their charter and that no longer exists or governs folks, before we go out for poll in June, we really do need to have and say, these are the qualifications we're looking for. And we don't have to get everything done outside of that. If there's other stuff we want to add about operating or other things that help give guidance, we can. To Bill's point, like CP9 doesn't have much. So, yeah, it's really different.
So I was thinking, as these are submitted to the Secretary of Governing Council, like, is there a way to share them as they're being populated? Because I would imagine there's maybe some ideas out there that we might go, oh, hey, that's a great idea. Maybe we want to incorporate that in ours and vice versa.
There's your.
So
One day.
yeah, so I think they'll go up to the steering committee and given the deadline, we'll probably end up holding those for this election cycle, since we'll make the applications. But yeah, after we pick candidates, everybody can decide at any time. Thank you. We don't have to go back to the board. You guys can decide right after the election. I would caution, the only thing I would say is I don't think anyone should be changing those once we put the call out for candidates or until we finish elections, just because of kind of the challenges for that.
that's something, yeah, next January, yeah, we could pick that up again, or you guys could come up here. But you guys can pick that up again and say, hey, this worked great for us for this year, but yeah, ELMC puts this into it, and PMG put this into it, and we'd love to take a look at that a little bit more. We don't have to go back to the board, we can just make our changes for that next time.
And I think the intent, whenever it goes to the steering committee, is to consolidate all of these into basically one large document. You'll be able to read through everybody else's and adopt later.
All right. One other thing that came up in the steering committee meeting this morning, Ron Feaster is putting together a building safety career path toolkit. And he's looking for some volunteers on that. So, that career path toolkit, they're going to take a couple different jobs and kind of put together a document that people can look at to say, kind of how do you get there? How do you get yourself into that role? And he's looking for some volunteers. It doesn't have to be governing committee members. It could be anybody in the building membership council, but he is looking for a couple volunteers to help them work through that as soon as they possibly can. So we have one or two people that are interested. Love to get at least a person or two from BMC to jump up on that. If anybody wants to.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Brian, all right. Was that you, Brian?
No, Britt Treese.
Oh, Britt, okay. Can you put your contact info in the chat, and then we can get you your info and stuff.
Sure, I'm not seeing how to do the chat on my phone, but I will keep looking.
Or just reach out to the staff here as well, to Bill or Mark, and you can get your contact info and get that over to Ron as well.
Okay.
I would be interested, Ed, as well, though. This is Brian.
Mark, can you scroll down on the agenda so they can see your email address? Maybe they can just write it down real quick. Don't email Ed, he doesn't answer anything.
That's just yours. I have a rule that just goes right in. Deleted folder.
I appreciate that.
All right, so we've got a couple online. Do we have others? I heard some rumblings, Andy. All right. Elizabeth, or are you good?
I don't think you need that.
Right, yep. Perfect. So yeah, we'll get your infos over to Ron. So we get Andy, Brian. All right, perfect.
And just to mention, I had a question earlier to add about whether the professional development committee may also be like this, just not to duplicate efforts. I'm sure it is involved.
Yeah, Scott, if you want to, we have a task group for higher education stuff, so we have talked about this, but we have a meeting, we have Tuesday or Monday to talk more about that. Yes, we're pursuing something too, but we'll make sure that we coordinate anything we have to do this.
Perfect. You're
Tuesday. Well, we touch on the education part Monday. Full meeting.
You see.
Well, we had talked about doing it kind of like a career path as well, so, but we looked at it more towards maybe towards higher education. So that's where we're going to talk about more about
Yep, yeah, just to hopefully a quick comment. One thing that probably everybody realizes is the old model of hiring in our industry doesn't work anymore, right? It doesn't exist. Right, the old model of, we wait for that contractor who's good at, whatever, building or a plumber or electrician, that kind of wore out, got a couple surgeries behind them, then they want to, pick up the government career. It just doesn't work anymore, right? Because they're not out there anymore. And we've had to make a big shift within our state and also, in our department. We're creating basically an onboarding program, an apprenticeship program. Florida has an amazing model for, you call it an intern program, that's already out there for bringing in. The reality of it is we need a broader reach, right? We need people that aren't construction people to get into the building safety industry. And we have to figure out how to get them in the right place, right? So now it's a matter of finding good people, and then training them the technical stuff. So when I just bring that up to say, while we're thinking about all these things, keep in mind that we're not looking for necessarily construction professionals. That's all I'll say.
Allison as well.
Thank you. So I'm a little stretched thin, so I cannot volunteer for this. So I would encourage the folks volunteering for this. To that point, I had a brief suggestion that we start from the people who are likely to want to make a transition, even if it's not a direct pathway. So, hey, you finished a college degree in architecture or in engineering, and you finished a high school technical training program, as well as, hey, you're in healthcare and want to get out because, you're a teacher and want to get out. Well, actually, you might be able to transition to a permit specialist or, another career within that. Like, I would encourage folks to, instead of starting from, well, I want to be a permit tech, I would encourage, I am today. I am a contractor. I am a healthcare provider. I am whatever, because I feel like we've tried to say, oh, this is a permit tech, and nobody knows what a permit tech or an inspector or plan reviewer actually is. So I would really encourage this effort for people volunteering. Start with, I am this today, and really consider folks who have skills that translate, even if it's not in our industry.
Just to comment on that, I actually,
Yeah.
a lady from Northern Kentucky that I supervised a couple of years ago. She started out as an architect in the state of Ohio. 2009, her firm is about 100. And so she lost her job, and she went back to school, and became a registered nurse. Well, in 2020, she found herself in a nursing home with COVID and decided that wasn't the place for her. And so she answered an ad on the state's unemployment and went back to her original education as an architect and became a state building inspector for East London. She was at the hearings in Louisville. Brought her down there. I had my whole crew down there. Yeah, so like you said, you know, she went from an architect to a nurse, and now she's a building inspector.
And I do see a lot of police officers as well. That's another common path.
It's cultivate for them.
Right. Yep, and DPW as well, just getting into some of that.
Yeah, well, Florida has some pretty stiff licensing requirements to be an inspector, building official. But through the legislature, we actually created 7 different paths to licensure through the legislature to allow ways, including the internship programs, cross-training programs, and things like that, to bring people in. And even in my own shop, I have quite a few of my plans examiners that are degreed architects, but they're degreed architects from other countries. So that's another thing for you to explore and always leave as an open option. We've got some fantastic people that we just went and found their equivalency so that they could get licensed in Florida as well. And they are a great asset to our team. So that's another option to explore.
Excellent.
I'd like to add something to that. I have a daughter who is changing careers. She was a hairdresser. We built a couple houses together. She had to get the permits and pay all the fees and deal with building departments. And I talked her into becoming a permit tech. And she found the whole process very frustrating, trying to figure out which test to take, who to talk to, how to get about it. Fortunately, she had me as mentor, and it took 2 other villages before she finally found the home where his director is younger and likes her technology and her knowledge from the other side of the fence without even really having any real construction experience, other than just being on her own homes building them. And I'm trying to encourage her to come to these meetings because she can pretty much go for free because my company, my village pays for it, but she's having trouble getting off work because she's so valuable in the office. And and so now I'm actually going to communicate with her boss and say, hey, look, I'm going to these meetings. I'm only going to be going for a couple of more years. This is an opportunity for her to work her way up. But she has gotten the permit tech class, which I kind of noticed was more difficult for some of the building inspecting, the property maintenance and the housing.
Yeah.
She wants to take the property maintenance housing, but she's so intimidated because the permit tech is so broad. I mean, it covered everything. And I personally think she's going to grow a lot, but she had her own doubts and she couldn't even do the job. And once she finally got into it, she's really enjoying it. She's going to probably be there for another 20 years. But her experience was that she was a hairdresser and she worked on her own house, you know. But she's really grown into this. But we got to make it easier for them to understand how to get the certification. We opened up that website. We got so many choices. And for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, never really got involved, we lose them. I think we lose them a lot. I come across people every day that want to know how to become a building inspector. And I work with a company that works with injured workers. And I probably have probably 1,000 people over my career that are now building inspectors. Some of them even run their own building departments. But once they got involved in the process and understood how to take the test, found out that half the test had some of the same questions. They started going and they didn't stop. But it's the getting the started, getting people. I have an office full of people that won't take the certifications. And unfortunately, I can't require them. It's not the support I get from my boss. But we got to make it easier for them to get into the certification process. A little bit more tutoring and training, like mentoring. I was just talking to some guys in Oregon who have a class that they're putting together. I'm looking forward to looking about. It sounds like they've got a whole process of how to look your way up as they get the CGO.
I figured out a pretty good instead of for, getting people to become ICC certified permit analyst techs, because I took 2 to St. Louis, and I would only take licensed and permit techs. So, when we got back and they started talking about the experiences they had, I had 10 people then added for the books and are going through a program to get them certified. Cause I've already told them I'm gonna take people to Long Beach, so they're gonna start vying for who gets to go to Long Beach.
There you go. That's all I'm saying.
I'd say something, because I started a jurisdiction scratch July 1st, new software, new everything. And the people I hired, I want a good person. I can't teach you to be a good person, but I can teach you the skills. I can get you all, and I had a real good, supportive nature. And I got 4 inspectors. One of them was actually a cabinet maker. You do accessibility because of make cabinets, that helped. Yeah, you can use that. He was a good person. All of them have been able to get certified. They've got 2 certifications, all of my inspectors. They're working on their 3rd and 4th. My permanent techs got certified. I guess it helps that I had a real good jurisdiction. And when I took on this, I said, this was a month. If I'm going to do this, this is what I need. So we were able to use a combination of the ICC training, the online, that you do a membership for a whole year. So we utilized that, utilized some other stuff we shopped around. So we used a combination. Some found the Thompson Martin stuff. I negotiated for them to get a cheaper rate. That was not a part of it, but we did use the ICC stuff. We didn't get ICC used, but that gave them a good introduction of the book and the stuff that was needed. And then we did utilize the England Enterprises that got into the meat. That got more into the meat. We used John's practice quizzes. Right, we'll get them all certified, but will or no experience in this business.
Right, great discussion, everybody. We do want to move on, but if you got a quick comment, yes.
Just a quick, how many people have regulations at the state level for individuals on the inspector or Arrington? Continuing ed requirements in there as well? Yeah, that's okay, because in Michigan, they've now changed it where you get that test, whereas when I became an inspector back in the mid-90s, your experiences and your resume basically got you over there. But when you talk about bringing people in at a younger age, I was really young when I became an inspector, and all the old timers came and says, "What are you doing here? Don't make more money in construction." I was born and raised in construction. Family has a very successful construction company. I did my time during high school. I missed those high school events and college was always, I wanted nothing. So that's why I jumped to this fence, which is unusual in a family contract, trust me. But it gave us an opportunity to learn. And now I'm listening to everybody talk, how are we going to recruit? And now I get this big obstacle in the state. So we look at job descriptions, maybe fine tune them, 2-page or 2-step down and bring that in gem in there. And the last person I hired for customer service, no experience municipal, but experience pulling permits. I'm like, I want that. And you know what? It's interesting because everybody in the customer service division is all ICC tech certified except her, because she's new. So, and that's part of their employment. And we give them the day off before the test is started and the day off to take the test. So you get a little bit of an incentive in there, and then you give them 18 months. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Excellent. Yeah, great discussion, everybody, and I'm sure we'll hear more about this moving forward. So, yeah. So actually, yeah. So the couple that are going to volunteer to work with Ron Peaster on that, we'd love to. After you guys kind of put that all together, definitely bring that back and let's hear more about where that's going. So, still on the steering committee report, there was a note on there that we do have to put together our goals for 2024. We've talked about that a couple times. We're going to need those
Well, this is why I was saying, I think we've already looked at, like, I think Elizabeth is already well on her way for achieving like building safety month participation.
Yep.
For example, so I think we can look at some of the stuff we've already done this year and say like, in sincerity, that was a goal and then we'll be able to report on it, it's already done. And I, to the point that's been made like a couple times now, just pick two.
Right.
And make them tangible things, whether that's we're gonna deliver 2 trainings or we're going to put out, I don't know how many you think is appropriate, but so many profiles on members for the month, like whatever that's realistically going to be achievable. I would just pick the 2 things and do them extremely well versus like we tried 8 things. And I would say things that are kind of an ongoing progress, even if they're goals, we may want to like possibly wait for next year just to make it here.
Right. So yeah, we'll have more info on that. As we start with our annual report together. All right, anything else in the steering committee?
I'd say we should talk about it.
Sure. Yep. Yep. No, that's no. Efforts.
Yes, yeah. I would agree.
These are goals. All right, and and actually, a lot of those goals are, if we come up with 2 good goals, I think they should probably come from our subcommittees, which is what we're getting into next year. So, we'll talk about our subcommittee reports. I brought this up, this morning in the steering committee meeting as well. Mark and I have had this conversation a couple times. Mark actually brought this up a couple meetings ago. Well, maybe looking at an education subcommittee. I think what we really want to do is kind of take a step back and take a look at our subcommittees and really see, are they focused correctly? Are they the right subcommittees for us? Like I said, when I started, I think we had like 4 or 5. I know we had race profile has always been there. We had a higher education one. We had a preparing for the future, which turned into the emerging leaders membership council. I think we had one other one at the time as well. Forget the other. Well, yeah, around that time as well. Yep. So so we had, like I said, like 4 or 5 subcommittees at the time back then. We pared those down a while back, and now we're pretty much just down to the 2. And I think 2 is a good number. I'll start with that. I think we have too many of them, we're going to start to lose people. And it's tough enough to find volunteers to fill out the 2 that we have. So race and profile, I think, is always going to be a part of the building membership council. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. But maybe we take a look at that best practices and innovation. I think that one kind of started around COVID time, and we had our best practices award that we were giving out, or best practices and innovation award that we were giving out. And so I think there was a time and a place for that, but not to put the co-chairs of that on the spot, but I guess, is that still the right place for that? Should we go, we also have this ongoing discussion almost every time about education, and finding guest speakers to come here for our meetings and putting on a education event or 2. Again, during COVID, we were doing a lot more of those. So, and maybe there's something else as well that we want to start taking a look at, but I'll open this up for discussion. Allison.
So, Mr. Chair, can I suggest that maybe we try to make it the opposite direction where we set the goal is to do 1 training and have 2 guest speakers or better. I don't know what's achievable, but if we set that goal, then we need an education and, engagement subcommittee. If we have an innovation, like, hey, we want to work with your jurisdictions to put out a white paper on something, then we have that subcommittee. But I'm almost tempted to say, like, one of the reasons I've struggled a little since I got through, like, what subcommittee do I work with? So, I got that. I'm like, I can digest what I'm going to do. I think I've struggled a little with, like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I think, like, maybe if we work it backwards and say, like, these are our 2-3 goals. What subcommittee or what that might make it easier for people. I know.
Yep. That's good.
So just an overarching thought I have is what is the purpose of the BMC? So from my understanding, and when the RTP did the surveys, this information is going to be in the survey of why are people not participating? I don't think people understand necessarily what BMC is and what the goal is. From my understanding, it was created by the board for us to provide feedback to the board on behalf of the membership council. I mean, on behalf of building officials. And so what we need to be providing information to the board of directors when they ask for it. We need to be providing feedback on services that ICC provides so that they can improve or keep going how they're going. Making changes as necessary, but also we need to speak on behalf of the building officials to the board. So when we have issues with grants, hey, what can ICC do to help improve this for the building official, or when there's issues with sponsors, what can ICC do to help? So I guess we just need to go back to why were we created? What does the board want from us? And how can we serve the membership by speaking?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is sort of why the steering committee was formed as well, you know, to kind of put some of that stuff together and kind of hash some of that out. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, when we started off, we were the building official membership council, and we dropped the official out of the name at some point there. But yeah, that was the original goal. When we dropped building official membership council, we just became the building membership council. It became a little bit more universal in any issues that are out there. Kind of fill in the gaps of the other subcommittees and everything, or other membership councils and everything. So, but yeah, you know, I think maybe that's almost a good place to start too, is just sort of take a step back and just what are we all doing here, and then you know, what do we need to do to achieve that?
Whatever we do needs to be either sustainable or have an end date. Because this committee does turn over, so it can't be one person's initiative.
Right.
Because then when they're gone, all the work that was put into it. So these are just things we need to think through.
Yep, and that's why, yeah, I almost hesitated to bring this up now because, well, no, just because, you know, I mean, I'm gonna be gone in 8 months. So it's really kind of up to you guys that are gonna be around. What's that?
You're not counting.
Right, exactly.
I do want to toss an idea out there because piggybacking on both Allison and Elizabeth on the end date, it might be worth defining the goals and then having these subcommittees basically end every year and reforming them based on the new goals for the new year, instead of having them continue on in perpetuity.
Yeah, and that's why I like your point, Allison, is if we identify what our subcommittee, raised profile always has to be there, right? But our subcommittees, I think, can change. I think they need to be fluid based on what we plan on attaining that year, right? And so I think that's a really great point to have that level of fluidity. And then maybe every January, we reestablish what that looks like, right?
What with the goals, and then create a subcommittee to meet those goals.
That's right. And Elizabeth, just to your point, I think we need to look at that because I don't think we have the same charge as we did at that time, right? I think that's important to realize that, but I don't know that we're necessarily now responsible for letting the board know those items, right? So we might be responsible for letting the steering committee know, or we might be responsible through reports letting the board know, but I don't think we have that direct connection anymore. I think we just need to work that out and see what that looks like.
Yeah, else?
I don't want to stifle the discussion. I'm going to keep talking about it, but if folks are looking at that notion, I would love to see their next meeting, everyone on goal, that they would be willing to head up and like to work on, and maybe we as a group can vote on like 3. And like, they don't have to be fully fleshed out, but like, maybe that's an opportunity to get tangible things.
Maybe we can combine some goals and things like that too.
So in the in my ministry classes last year, we read a book by Brene Brown called Dare to Lead. And in that book, many of you may have read it as well. And one of the things that she touched on was exactly what we're talking about, is creating something that's called pre-mortem. So that when you create something, the first thing you do is decide how is it going to end. So you can actually know when you have delivered what you're after. And the other part is to paint the picture, paint what is done look like. Paint what does done actually look like. When have we actually achieved what we're doing? If we work on putting that before we start, okay, we're gonna have this committee, that committee, then they become amorphous and you know, kind of, hey, you actually know, okay, this is what we're going towards. And once you actually have gotten there, you can say, well done. Now we can go ahead and sunset this, and here comes January, we can do something different. I like it. I like it. Trying to do something. So your hand. Look at the board.
That's right. Chris kind of started.
All right. Good. That sound good to everybody? You know, if we all come back, you know, that next meeting's gonna be May 8th, which is kind of quick, but you know, if we all come back with one good goal, you know, something. And then maybe some of these, you know, maybe we vote on some of these to do now, and maybe some of these are 2025 goals, and that would set up, you know, our 2025 goals and 2025 subcommittees then. Great, sounds like a path moving forward, and we all have a goal now, so there, we'll come up with a goal.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, can we put that on the report?
What's that? Goal to have a goal.
Successfully came up with a goal.
Yep, yeah, we checked that one off.
I do want to make sure when we're talking about what we're going to highlight for 2020. I do think I've got an engagement survey, and I think that was so interesting. I'd love to share that with the board, because I think that will inform a lot of people about why folks are engaging. So I don't want to forget that. Like, we're recording this, and I want to catch that could be one of our 2020.
Yeah, strong.
It was an excellent result. So
Absolutely.
look, Rachel, the reports have written.
There you go. We're halfway through.
See, she's doing your work now.
Dude, I know. I'll take it, man.
So on that, I mean, it's good to get some baseline data survey, then how are we gonna follow that up later? Like, what feedback are we gonna give from what we've learned from that, and in future, how would we re-baseline and see if we made progress?
So
Should go to the race profile subcommittee report right away.
Sure. So at the same time, the board of directors are also doing a membership survey feedback. So essentially the results of our survey were provided to that committee that was looking at it. So I'm assuming they looked at it along with the results from their survey of how to better engage. The purpose of the survey was how do people join? How do they engage? How do we fix them? And the number one thing is essentially the goal is like, we want to deliver the project. We want to know what we're doing. We don't want to just meet the talk, but we want to work. And so I think this working on our goals and having the goals is.
Great.
Oh,
Raise the profile. Yeah, let's go through that.
Okay.
Yep.
So right now, we are, I'm working with a group of about 5 to 6 people on a building membership council, safety month, social media publication, I guess you could say. So we've created through Google Forms, a quick form for you to fill out. There's probably 10 questions, but not all 10 questions need to be answered. So the goal is to create a social media post with a photo of yourself and then just a quick bio. Really, we're going to, the goal is to promote it, I think, the second week of Building Safety Month, which is about the professional. So we just want to highlight individuals on ICC social media. I am trying to still get with the correct ICC staff for the best way to get that to them. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and create the profiles and hope that we have a place to publish them. What I need from you all, though, is once you receive the email, to fill out the appropriate form. There are two. There are two. One, if you're a Google user, one if you are not a Google user. So just follow the directions there. It's about 5 minutes of your time. How long it would take, and then my subcommittee team is working on writing those. That's what we're doing. That's hopefully going to be published in May. If you have any questions, you can let me know. I'm fine.
The second weekend, maybe, so that's, yeah, we right when we're meeting again. So,
Yeah.
perfect.
We need the data beforehand so we can go ahead and write it and so it can be scheduled for publication. I don't need the last minute. Yes. Yes, I was waiting for further direction from ICC, but at this point, I just need to send it out and hopefully. they'll catch it. So be looking for that, like I said, 5 minutes. I think if we can do 10 to 15, that would be good. There's about that many people in the room here and I already have back from people that are on the subcommittee. It doesn't just have to be limited to the governing council, but anybody that's in BMC network. Looking to the future, sorry, do I have one?
Absolutely.
So that ends May. Looking to the future, this has kind of been on the back burner, is a membership, like a welcome packet. So, when we're done with May, we're gonna look forward to that membership packet. What that is when somebody joins the building membership council, letting them know, hey, welcome, here's what we do, here's where you can engage, here's where you can plug in. All, and then in the future, looking at, okay, you're a member of the BMC, what's next? How else can we plug into ICC? Where else? And what can you do at the same time? And so really it's a good introduction to the BMC plus where else can you serve? I know ICC already has some of that information, like Russ Manning had a great one about for code development, how to get involved in code development. So taking resources that ICC has already created, but just making it. Sorry.
No, that's perfect.
You're good at how stuff.
Yeah. Any questions on any of that stuff? And you'll send out
warning,
some
guys.
info on that? What's
10-minute warning, guys.
Sorry.
Yep. Okay.
Well, I do have a question to that raising the problem with passion all of us into promote our industry. So to Elizabeth, is this going to take into consideration, so I go to the high school all the time. And I'm using a 2017 version of the value coefficient. So 2017 is what ICC has on the website. So it's been modified tenfold, going to the different junior colleges or high schools or what have you. But I think it's important that whether it's student technology or something that gets updated. In 2017, stuff is still on 8.5 by 11. And I hope that can tie into somehow the base of the program.
I think, so those type of things, a small group of people would need to evaluate what resources already there and then provide feedback through a report to the appropriate people. I don't think the RTP needs to be reinventing the wheel or creating resources that can't go further than this.
I hear your point. Raising the profile of how they vote official is their true nexus right there.
Yes, but ICC has a committee dedicated to the TTP, which is which the value of the code official under the TTP. So I think we can work with, but I don't think we need to work separate.
Yeah, that's why I said that. Gives you like, we're going to just.
We could flag that as a meeting out here. Flag it.
No, since you're choppy at the bit, since I.
So they have been working in the TTP. And a lot of that stuff is probably from back in Jim Elwood's days when he was in charge of that. And it seems like we picked that up and fell by the wayside because something else took a high priority and now we're back to it. So hopefully we'll get straightened out on it. I know Elizabeth and I both have tried in Kentucky to get something going and it's almost impossible. Everything has to go through the Department of Education and I've got a carpenter. I go visit a carpenter class or two every year in vocational school. And one of them, they're actually building a new vocational school behind their current school now. And I had two of my inspectors with me a couple of weeks ago. But we done our inspection and I said, come on, we're going in here for a minute. So we walk in and I know the teacher, I've known him for years. He raises up, he says, "Oh no, who called the building inspector on me?" And so we got to talking, and before I left, he said, "What's going on with that training program, man?" I said, "Well, they're updating." He said, "Well, let me know." He said, "I'll take it to my principal, but he's gonna have to get approval with the Department of Education in the state of Kentucky before they can do it, and they just do not want to cooperate." Now, the new commissioner of that is Robbie Fletcher, who's from the same county that I visited, Norris County. So maybe we can make some inroads there.
That's gonna be all before I retire.
Yeah, well, I had spoke to every vocational school in my area, and they all like, yeah, sure, no problem. You know, and even the cost isn't a big deal. It's like $1,500 for 25 students, and they're like, "Well, we get grants all the time for stuff like that, but we can't get the school to approve the curriculum."
All right, we're down to 5 minutes left here, so
That's
great discussion, but yep, I think we want to move on a little bit. And then also with Ray's profile, of course, Amrinder's not here, he's out of the country right now, but he's also working on this proclamations project. It's been together for a little while, and I know he's got a few of those in the works, so hopefully we'll get that stuff rolling as well pretty soon. Best practices innovation, Chris Paul.
Yeah. So, briefly, absolutely. So, we talked about some goals for the coming year. I'll touch on that after this. If whoever's controlling the screen there would be supplying this to go to a webpage that's smithfieldri.gov. It says Town of Smithfield in Rhode Island. And this is what I illustrate what I wanted to bring up. One of the things that I was asked to do was to look at, so the question was asked, what is our purpose? Why are we here? And if you go, one of the things that we looked at was having a vision, a purpose, and a mission. And I was trying to distill that into something that was better than a elevator pitch. So if you go under the departments and you look at the building department, building and zoning on the left-hand side there, I think I've landed on what might well work. So if you look there, our purpose: listen, learn, partnership. Thanks, Wolf. I feel like those three things would fall almost perfectly under vision, purpose, and mission. When you talk about vision, the idea is a vision is to listen to all the people who are building officials, or of any type, permit techs, code official, wicked, whatever you have, all those people are going to listen to. Because nobody succeeds in any real way if you don't listen first, and not listen so you can respond, but listen to learn. Which goes to the next one for learning. I feel that is our purpose. Our purpose is to learn so that we can always be in constant improvement, whether it would be with membership council or within this subcommittee or whatever we're doing, whatever we're looking to achieve. And finally, for a mission, I believe it should be to partnership. The idea is for membership council to partner with each of the membership councils as well as with the board liaisons and to be a co-inhabitor, if you will, of all the things that ICC strives to be. So I think that instead of having a whole long litany of words, have just 3 words: listen, learn, partnership. I feel like those things would fit very well under the vision, purpose, and mission of not only BPI, but also through BMC. And I would open that to criticism. Looking forward, I talked to Bill about this some time ago. A goal for next year, what I would like for us to do is to consider, and I don't know how to do it myself, as much technology as I don't know how to do it myself. I would like for us to create some type of a Reddit page, whether it be a Reddit subreddit, what have you, where people can share ideas, experiences, good, bad, or different, because we work in silos. We're very good at working in silos. This is what we do. But we do it alone. And when we do that, we have no idea who's already been there, who's done these things. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. And the problem that I see a lot of building officials have is collaborating with others, especially the ones who don't come to these hearings. Collaborating with others to see what have you done to resolve this problem. They grouse and then they go to the membership, they're building official membership meetings in their states and all that. But that's as far as it goes. So perhaps the quasi-anonymity of a Reddit page would allow the people to go there in a way and say, oh, let me see if there's somebody that's had this problem, and then they can add their 2 cents to it. So that would be a goal I'd like to look at for next year. And finally, had a great idea of, Paul talked about some memorializing, our fallen heroes, but we have, fire officials, building officials, code officials, defense technicians, and so forth. People have fallen, in other words, they've transitioned. We do have a wonderful memorialization that comes to the ABM. However, it's a name on the screen that scrolls past and you may not have any idea who that person is. And so I think that Paul had a great idea on how to try to elevate that so that that's more of a thing, not so much to or celebration service. I need to celebrate people who dedicate their lives to life safety. So those are the three things I wanted to make sure that we talked about briefly today when it comes to DPI.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna jump on the goal just real quick on the Reddit one. I would recommend fleshing it out a little more so that it doesn't, we're not reinventing the ICC forum that's already there.
And then, so your very point, many people don't even know that exists.
And that might be possibly a goal is maybe spreading the word on that one rather than creating a separate forum that people can do.
Can I jump onto Rachel's?
Yep.
I think we've been told that much. I think of it, but there's supposed to be. There's a new platform.
Yes.
Platform that's coming. And, I would be curious if maybe see how, like, maybe that's where we invest it. To your point, Chris, I do think we need a way, like, I call up and text a whole bunch of the ELMC folks, like, hey, someone told me they're getting a code mod because it costs them too much. Anybody doing that? And like, get a whole, well, I can tell you, Colorado, Maine, Kentucky, nobody's doing that. So, so maybe we could put the BMC effort, to Rachel's point, into something that is ICC.
Exactly. And what I see people doing now is somebody's actually trying to get to that resource page. If you have to go more than, most people say, if you have to go more than 2 clicks to find it, you're going to give up. That's why I'm concerned about having something that you have to dig and figure out where's it at. If you just have it like it's easy to get to and it's something that is portable on your phone as opposed to going to a web page, logging in, doing things, I think that would help them out too. Art?
On your point about the memorial, so this is the ICC memorial page.
Saw that, yep.
And at the bottom of the page, there's also a link. So you scroll through, it has that. And then at the bottom, it also has one for people that were killed on the job. So I don't know if you're aware of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hold down, Mark.
Just a little.
Sorry.
Huh?
I'm right there. Bruce, yeah, Bruce Smith.
All right, so we did.
All right, any questions for Chris on DPI? I know, we gotta wrap this up. We also want to take a picture, so before everybody kind of jumps out of here, we want to take a picture, but last thing on there, and we'll kind of maybe save this discussion for next meeting. The membership council liaison reports, every meeting, we kind of go through our liaison reports, kind of bring those back. I want to maybe reimagine that a little bit next time. We can talk about it in the main meeting. Just to see if that current format, that's still working for everybody. Maybe we just open it up to, hey, does anybody have anything that they want to share from there, from some of the other membership councils? And then we kind of condense that down a little bit rather than going through every one and getting a little bit of a report. We can maybe just say, is there anything critical from the other membership councils that everybody needs to know or should know? And we can talk about that at the main meeting, and we'll work a couple minutes here from the time here. So, all right, anything else to come before the committee here?
Just a very quick, I want to make a mistake. I want to thank every person who did respond, because the responses I got from each person on the call and in person, all of that is how I actually got to those 3 simple words. So I want to thank everybody's response.
Thank you. All right, with that, obviously, more info on the ABM should be coming out soon. We'll all be back in person there again. The next meeting is going to be May 8th. That'll be a virtual meeting again. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn? Any seconds? And again, don't run off without. Getting the
Voting shot.
Nash. All right, we are done. Apart from taking a quick. And I'd invite everybody that's sat through the meeting here too, if you want
Oh,
to jump
yes.
into the picture with
Everybody
us.
else that was 20.
Yep, you sat here for 2 hours, you can be in the.
Are we gonna Photoshop
Yeah.
Steve Jones?